Okay then, first of all, let's answer the question, what is COSHH? Well, the term COSHH relates to the UK-based regulations that deal with the control of substances hazardous to health, or COSHH for short. These guidelines demand that employers prevent or control workers' exposure to any substances that may cause harm to their health. The first symbol we're going to look at is one that most people will be familiar with, as you see it in a lot of common substances. On the GHS system, it's regarded as a physical hazard, and that is relating to flammability, so it's a flammable symbol. This simply means that a substance can be easily set on fire or ignited. Flammable substances can come in the form of aerosols, gases, liquids, or even solids. Okay, now we're on to some of the more nasty substances that we come across, and we'll start with corrosive. As you can see on screen now, the corrosive symbol indicates that the substance has the potential to actually fully destroy the skin tissue. When we're talking about corrosive substances, we're talking about those that have the ability to destroy skin tissue in an irreversible manner, and they're usually tested over the course of a number of hours and then categorized in terms of how extreme that destruction or damage to the skin tissue is. To help bring together all of those aspects on hazardous substances that we've covered up to now, we're going to go through a worked example of a real life application of COSHH assessment. Our company Fidget Limited are introducing a new process into their production plant, and their initial risk assessment has flagged up that they'll be using strong sulfuric acid as part of their process. As a result, it's been agreed that a COSHH assessment will be necessary to assess the risks and make sure there are effective controls in place to prevent harm to the workforce. Let's take a look at the brief description on screen now that summarises how this will be used in the production process. You can press pause and take your time to read through it, and we'll also leave a link below for you to download this in PDF form. As you can see, this section tells us that the substance is a category 1A corrosive. Going back to our slide from the previous SDS module, we can see that a category 1A is at the top end of our corrosivity scale. In other words, this product is amongst the most corrosive of hazardous substances. So bearing in mind these main pathways for hazardous substances to get into the body, and thinking about the liquid that we're using and how we're using it, what do you think the main exposure routes into the body of the operators in this scenario might be? Moving on then to hand protection, and we've identified earlier that exposure to the skin was going to be one of our main exposure pathways, and no more so than exposure to the hands, because of course we're going to be handling the product. So this is a really important thing to get right for us here. Taking a look at the information related to hand protection, we can see that the manufacturer has been quite helpful for us here and give us a couple of specifications for different use types that may be applicable for this product, which of course really helps us in our decision making process. And the last couple of admin items here on a COSHH assessment template is just to verify what level of risk that we believe exists once our control measures are put in place. And my own subjective judgment here on this particular example with the control measures that we've put in place is that the exposure is adequately controlled, and also that the risk rating following those control measures being put in place is low. Whether or not you attempted to do the template before we walk through that worked example, I hope that going through that in that detail with the use case has helped you understand some of the elements and how the information is transferred from one document to the other and made specific for your circumstances. And ultimately, hopefully it gives you confidence to move forward with your own COSHH assessments.